After getting some data points, we believe that the player that would give us the biggest success was Ruin. Playoff seeding is really important, and so we really need to put ourselves in the best position to win now. For Ruin, I think one of the good things about this whole swap is that it exposed some of our communication issues around the top laner. So I think, honestly, Ruin band-aided a lot of issues that we didn't know existed. And playing Deus, it became more apparent that there needed to be more synergy with the top laner. We really had to do a reset, talk to our players, talk about how we wanted to play the map, and just really make sure that everyone was on the same page. So I think Ruin observed that even with Deus, there were some similar issues coming up. And so it was really good for us to address these things before Ruin came back to the LCS team.
He was burnt out, so we needed to give him some time so he can reset his mental. We're in like a really urgent time right now where like every win matters because it's such a tight race right now. We want to have like a good standing for playoffs.
They reversed as karma when they just invaded bot side.
It's allowed.
Raymond has always been kind of the loud voice, the one that everyone listens to, besides being like the jungle role. But we want him to have like more say within the game and more uniting the team together on calls.
Getting my laners to play around, what I think the enemy jungle pathing is. I think that's generally like the biggest job of a jungler. We identified some of our weaknesses in game. People were asking too many questions of like, oh, can we do this? Can we do this? Rather than just someone being like, okay, this is what we need to do, and just doing it, even if it means like we might lose. I think that was like a weakness that we identified in our team. Just giving someone more power to like make the final say and things, I think, is something that can be helpful for those types of issues.
So now that we're playing in the facility, we looked at ways of making sure that our performance mindset and our pregame rituals like transferred over from what we did at the LCS live studio. Pre-game like mindfulness session, and then the point where we as a team talked about what our individual focus was.
Usually meditate together as a team, just like we would at the LCS studio, and then you just try to get in the zone, listen to music or do whatever you need to do.
That moment that we have as a team that is full of social camaraderie where we're watching the game before ours as a squad.
I usually just naturally like have a lot of adrenaline before games. You still know everyone on the stream's watching, so you still have like that kind of like motivation, I guess. From a technical perspective, the big difference is like we have to set up our like own cameras so that Riot knows that like we're playing at our computers.
They're saying your cam is too close.
We all get into like this special like Discord channel for like the LCS teams. We have to have a ref in the chat with us so that they hear our comms and all that stuff, so that you're kind of doing everything that like is already normally provided by Riot for yourself. So going into this weekend against IMT and Dig, we are pretty much treating them like they're brand new teams because the rosters are just completely different.
Yeah, Dignitas and IMT, they did a lot of roster shuffling back and forth. So IMT is just looking stronger, more coordinated. I think the team's gelling more. The rookies are doing pretty good. Insanity and Alarim, they have like good picks that are good for their team. Pretty important games this week for us to win.
If you're CLG, can you adapt, right? Can you prevent the snowball up on that top side?
It's going to be a fun game to watch all the same. Chase down, Wiggly wants in. Careful, because here comes Dardoch.
Saturday's game, yeah, we had a really strong early lead. We killed it, honestly. Once it came to mid game, our macro and just everything else, the way we executed everything was just poor, which is very unfortunate. I think we should have won that game 100%.
CLG, we're on to the Rift here for the third game of the day. Let's see if Immortals can pull it off after that close game yesterday where they ended up taking the loss.
The motivation for the early proactive plays was just because of the champions we picked and the champions they picked. I was playing Bully Bear, which is pretty good at ganking early game, and they had some immobile champions like Kog'Maw, so there's just a lot of opportunities in the early stages of the game to make some early plays, so yep. Ended up giving the first two dragons pretty early on in the game to snowball the top side of the map. We just messed up around the third dragon timing, and we took a really stupid fight and stopped our snowball, and then we weren't able to split push at all with Camille because they had Dragon Soul. So I think that's kind of like where we messed up in the game today.
the fourth dragon came around and we just lost it again. We adapted better and we ran all the way around and at least was like a little bit closer, but ultimately it's a little bit too late at that point.
Me making stronger calls in the early game definitely helped us a lot this week, but I also think that there's a lot of things that we screwed up on and we need to focus on for next week.
100 Thieves has been looking kind of good early game as well. And then TSM, they're using treats now. Seems like Biofrost wasn't working out for them. Interesting to see if they'll do it again this week. If they stick with him or not, it's going to be kind of like a whole different ball game with him in the game. How do we ensure that we close out our leads? I mean, it's definitely something that we have to work on intently, especially this week. It's not that like we don't know what to do, we just don't end up doing it. Most of these teams right now kind of sacrifice things as a team and then they just pull together just to get these objectives. We're a team that understands how to actually like finally get these objectives without giving away too much. And hopefully that'll separate us from the pack once we get this issue down.